Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's like we're live on YouTube. All 7 people over there. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning. I understand Europeans are on a slightly different time zone right now. North Americans just did the daylight savings, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Europeans don't do their daylight savings for another week or so. So I do understand that we probably have a little bit of confusion around the time for the daily brief, so it kind of makes sense that things are a little bit quieter this morning. I also noticed too in the lounge things are a bit quiet too. So, but regardless, it is Monday morning. Time to get back in the saddle and rock this thing. I see we do have a few participants, and we're just having some fun joking with the lounge members before we kicked off here this morning. And of course, my apologies if I'm a little bit too cheeky. But anyway, actually quite pleased to see, and actually we don't have the mayor of Vienna because I think the mayor's still in bed because they haven't switched their clocks back yet. But nonetheless, we do have the bear in the house this morning, so can't wait to hear what's on his mind this morning. And might as well just do a quick hello. How you doing this morning, Mr. Bear?
I'm good, ready to tackle the day's events.
Awesome. And I got to say, I was quite pleased this morning. Got a couple really nice treats waking up, banging out doubles, both in the stock market and in crypto. And actually, I thought we did a pretty good broiler chicken show yesterday, and we left off giving some interesting levels to pay attention to on Bitcoin. And I was quite pleased to see this morning that basically the market came right down to those levels indicated. So, feeling like I'm seeing the market somewhat clearer of late, and that's always a good thing. But without further ado, why don't we jump into Mr. Bear's take on the market, see what's on his mind, and let's have some fun this morning. Mr. Bear, what do you got on deck for us today?
All right. Well, starting out, we had a couple of key events happen over the weekend. The first, I'm sure everyone has heard in the news that an Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft crashed. And if anyone read into that story, evidently a similar aircraft, the same exact 737 MAX 8 crashed. It was a Lion Air flight, and about 12 minutes after taking off, the thing malfunctioned with some of its attitude sensors, and what it does is it overrides the pilot's control of the airplane and tilts the nose up to avoid a stall. I may have had that. Yeah, to avoid a stall. And the pilots can't correct it, and the plane eventually crashes. And they're kind of presuming that because of what happened on this Ethiopian Airlines, that after like 6 minutes after takeoff, the thing crashed. They're thinking that it's the same sensors that were at risk. So Boeing stock, nonetheless, is seeing a pretty sharp decline today.
What's so fascinating about that is if you just check out my chart, good old 50% rules. And this is sometimes where we go. Now, did this stock come off because of the? And you're right. I was reading this morning. China grounded all of its Boeing jets. Mm-hmm. And Boeing stock, of course, gets slammed. But then you look at the price chart, and this actually reminds me a lot of the 1987 crash in the stock market that we talk about at length, how it really wasn't a crash. It was just a 50% correction. And lo and behold, look at that. I mean, Colleen, and I love to pick on Colleen. She's my guinea pig this term. But Colleen, can you see how basically this 50% rule was in essence almost like it had to happen? And it's fascinating to see how, crazy things like, sadly, a lot of humans lost their lives, God rest your soul, including a whole bunch of Canadians. But ironically enough, from like a technical perspective, this was actually very normal and very healthy what actually happened to the stock. So that's fascinating. And also notice too, for people who've done the level 2, do you notice how we just came back and basically tagged value high, which is also very normal, very healthy. This was above value, not much volume up there. And if the market was going to find buyers, where was it going to come back to? Right back to value high. And then, of course, who can fill in this answer? If the market actually comes down here and accepts into value, 80% of the time, where should we tag? That's right. This is good old John Hoagland. And actually, it was really cool. Thank you, Kevin. Value low. Excellent, Will. So, yeah, cool. So, in essence, the freaky thing here is that actually, technically, this is doing exactly what should happen. So now if we lose these lows, then odds are probably Boeing's got to come right back down to the bottom end of the range. So just fascinating illustration of what we teach on the site and how our charts actually in a weird sort of way actually are in a weird sort of way, like, geez, deja vu, are actually telling us a little bit about the future here. So I apologize for interjecting there. You're right. This was a horrific event. Very sad for the people, who passed away because of this. But fascinating how the stock chart actually sort of aligns nicely with price action here. My apologies for interrupting, sir. Please continue.
No, I mean, I've seen the same thing in the past. It's quite odd how sometimes you can see the setups come in and then news hits and it ends up going and fulfilling the actual price objectives. But, this is a sad story for that to come true here. But in other news, we had Powell talk on 60 Minutes yesterday, an American interview TV show. And I didn't get a chance to watch this thing live, but I ended up reading the transcript here. And he was asked a couple of key questions by Scott Pelley, who basically said, have you stopped raising rates? And Powell's becoming a master of evading questions. He's really good at not giving straightforward answers.
He's learning.
Yeah, he's really doing a good job. And I think that's what a good Fed governor should do. You don't want to, this is a Sunday show, right? For him to come out and say anything different or new that hasn't already been said through official channels, I think would be irresponsible of him. So I think he did his job here. And, this was never a thing, right? Fed governors never used to come on 60 Minutes before Ben Bernanke started it after the whole financial crisis. And he came on to talk about quantitative easing and to reassure the American people that, not everything is going to shit. And Powell agreed to come on here and talk. And he basically said, hey, the economy looks good. We're going to be patient. We're going to make sure that we don't do anything too crazy. And then I think the only other key takeaway here from this was he talks about inflation and yada, yada. But it was more about he was asked by Pelley whether or not he could be fired by Donald Trump. And he basically avoided the question at first and said, no, I will not be fired. I will carry out my 4-year term. So I think that was the major gist of this.
Do you mind if I throw something in there?
Yeah.
So once again, don't listen to the talking heads. Let's listen to the market. Let's pay attention. It makes complete sense why the Fed has been on hold here. Corporate rates have basically not really gone anywhere. In fact, actually, corporate rates have been falling with this euro-dollar contract rising. That means interest rates are going down. So the spread between the Fed funds rate and corporate short-term interest rate market has been narrowing. Everything's tickety-boo. But what letter of the alphabet do we see here, folks? Now it's just starting. So it's fascinating how he's basically come on and said, okay, everything's fine. And I don't know, can you guys see? Maybe I'll put the spread away just for the time being. But can you see out of the corporate interest rate market, something's changing here? How the frick do I do this? Anyway, here, maybe I'll make this a little bigger if you can see it. Oh, fudge, I can't. Anyway, hopefully everybody can see.
Hey, Brian, if you present to everyone and get rid of the heads at the bottom.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I screwed that up. And remember, we don't have the mayor of Vienna here, so Brian's flying solo. I might screw these screen shares up a little bit. Just remind me. But anyway, so to finish our story, we can see that the euro dollar market bottomed here, has been making W's, 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 W's. Uh-oh. Here's our sort of first sign of trouble in that we're actually starting to see ME action. There we go. So I don't know whether you guys can see that or not. Let's see if I can just maybe minimize that. This is the euro dollar market. And really who's driving the bus when it comes to short-term interest rates. And this is the spread, that TED spread. And as long as it was trending down, perfectly fine. But now we actually have an M coming into short-term interest rates in the corporate market. And so as a result, that's going to, force that spread to W out if the Fed does nothing. And now what we need to do is listen to the corporate interest rate market. If this thing starts cranking up again, then the Fed's got to go right back on the gas pedal. And ironically enough, this is almost how it always happens, where as soon as these public officials come out and say, everything's fine, tickety-boo, we're fine, get ready for a change in policy. There's somebody made a joke recently. They said that, like the Swiss did this to all their citizens. Some Swiss politician comes out and says, we will never leave the euro. We are going to stay in the euro forever. And then the next fucking day, they announce that they're leaving the euro and the Swiss franc moves all over the place. Somebody else was making a reference to this recently too, with some other policy where, the government official comes out and says, we'll never do this. And then the next day, things change. So I'm going to be listening to the market. And I appreciate Mr. Powell. And if anything, he's learning that he should just shut up and not tell anybody anything and just dodge questions right, left, and center, because that's really how central bank governors should act. But let's keep a close eye on corporate interest rate market and the TED spread. That will be our ultimate proxy as to what the direction of short-term interest rates are. Sorry I interjected there, but I really have to drive this home that we really need to listen to the market. Because, ironically enough, when Mr. Powell actually says what they have to do, he often gets himself in trouble. And so he's really learning a hard lesson here that really his job is to just double talk. All right. Sorry about that.
He's doing a great job of that. Yeah, no, this is so cool. I think more people need to understand how that works. It's such an important internal to the market that I feel like every news station should have something like that up. And he's like, everything's fine. Well, let's check how all these spreads are doing. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Powell, do you care to comment?
Well, and that's the true irony of it all. And hopefully you guys are seeing at TRI, we're not the public. We take our analysis to the next level, and we actually listen to the market itself. And I think that's really what I really need to impart on you guys is put the talking heads away, put CNBC away, totally useless, and let's listen to the market itself.
Yeah. So let's take a look at, actually, before we move into charts, there's one cool thing that I want to show you, Brian, and everybody else, is there's this cool calendar that I found that will nicely show what's going on throughout the week in terms of important information. It'll say the forecast, the actual, and the previous. You'll have some graphs for some of these reports. So,
oh wow, pretty.
Really nice stuff here.
Look at that beautiful M top there. And that's a funny thing, I think you were saying, I see M's and W's in sidewalks now. So, whenever if you just pulled up a chart there and it's like, holy crap, did you see that M? Look at that M. So what is that you're looking at? That is the M2 money stock, eh? Wow.
Yeah, so that's out of JPDN.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, oh man, this is cool because I've actually, that site that I was looking at, they've got little dinky charts that you can mouse over and get just a few data points. So that is very robust data, very sexy, sir. Can you post that link in the lounge, please, so I can throw that on the library?
You got it.
Thank you, sir. Totally appreciate that.
All right.
Oh, so, and Powell's speaking tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I wish it had
today.
Yeah, this is 8 p.m. today. I don't know if this is like a rerun of 60 Minutes or what, because this is 8 p.m. So I don't know what that is. Let me.
Yeah, this is a cool little website. Thanks, sir. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you had mentioned this beforehand, and thank you very much for bringing it up again. That is kind of cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so as far as, key events here, and this is probably something we should mention every Monday, is just, key events to watch for the week.
Totally. And then if we have Jamie come on like once every 2 weeks to sort of give us a pretty pictures and okay, what did this data tell us? Oh man, this site is just it's a dream come true. So yeah, if you want to put a little note on Monday mornings for us just to take a quick boo at this, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, so Tuesday we've got CPI, core CPI, and I think the biggest thing for this week is this Brexit vote. This takes place Tuesday afternoon, Eastern time.
Tentative.
Right. Okay, yeah, tentative, exactly. And obviously the last time it was rejected. I wonder what this cool button does. How meaningful will Tuesday? Oh, this brings up like key news and
oh wow, awesome.
This is really badass. I really like this.
Well, and there was also another site, and I don't know who it was that pulled up, and it was such a cool site. So, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I keep interrupting. My apologies.
I'm just getting you excited. I think Colleen's comment before the show started got you all drippy.
I'm not touching that. I'm going to stay politically correct.
I was teeing up a softball. You didn't hit it. All right.
No. We're on the air here. We're on the record. Brian is a good boy.
All right. So some neat stuff here on this calendar. I think that obviously this Brexit thing is one of the most important drivers for the week. So keep an eye on this calendar. And of course, if you're in the UK, we'd love to hear what you're thinking. And then let's jump into charts. I've been looking at the Dow. So the Dow is really interesting this morning. We started off down almost 200 odd points or something with this Boeing news. And then right now we're positive according to this delayed chart. I'm getting like more and more antsy over the fact that I can't see up-to-date data. It's like making me very anxious. So I may actually end up forking over some money here to TradingView just to get this live data, because I've started trading some of these names on lower time frames, and boy, does it suck to have to use some of the other sites, and it's just blech. Anyway, this thing
maybe adjust your fib off of today's low. I got a funny feeling we're right up against 38.2 here. Yeah.
Well, here's what's really captured my attention. We had this outside downside day with this key reversal here. It was like an engulfing bar, and then look what happened today. If this closes where it's at, we're getting two of these opposing signals where they almost never come in on this market. I think this is really crazy.
Just, let's slow down there. First off, that red bar is not a key reversal because we did not open above that previous candle. So this would be like a bearish engulfing candle.
Sorry, I'm imagining the S&P, not the Dow.
Okay, so
the S&P has it.
Yeah, but today we're gonna have to close above that looks like about the 30S. I guess that's a 13 EMA on your chart, eh?
The red.
Right. So we'd have to close above that level to actually carve out a key reversal. So this could be a nice, engulfing bar. That's totally awesome. But day's still young. You never know what the hell's going to happen by the end of the day. But yeah, interesting how we're printing engulfing bars right, left, and center here, right?
Yeah, again, signals you don't see that often. And then the S&P here isn't showing the same pattern, but I think that this looks like a key pattern here as well.
So again, today, if we close here, let's say, and then we tick up through today's highs tomorrow, what 3-bar pattern would that create? Let's see. Let's quiz Dennis. Dennis, I think, is in the level 1 program. If we and actually the idea that you had yesterday morning, it was the same thing. So if we close out here today and then we print 1 tick higher than today's high first thing tomorrow morning, what does this 3-bar pattern create? Do 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 do. No one? Inverted Empire, not bad. May the Schwartz be with you. How about a fractal? Anybody see the fractal?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm totally derailing Thomas again, but good little quiz for everybody there this morning. And hopefully if you watch this daily brief later on in the day, you go, I know the answer. I know the answer. Alex, I know the answer. And poor old Alex Trebek, did you hear he's got like stage 4 pancreatic cancer? Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
Poor guy. All right,
So
continue, sir. I apologize. Go ahead.
ES1 has this empire working, or is this an empire? This thing's a little bit lower than the middle candle, so it's...
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling it. And again, this is all predicated on, number one, how does today finish? I mean, we might crap out here through the day. And then number two, can we tick up through those highs tomorrow? So still very early in this formation. But, yeah, I think you're right. And also, too, interesting how stock markets caught a bid here. And crypto, like Bitcoin in itself, well, all of the sort of majors are all sort of very soft here. So interesting correlation there, too. And I think gold's coming off a chunk here today, too, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just running through these broader indices because I just want to talk quickly about what I was talking about Friday with this whole options expiration happening on March 15th, this Friday, and how that's like a very key options expiration day where you have what was referred to as, what's that?
I said you're right. This is a big one. This is a big quarterly options. And while you're talking, I'll go and pull up the data and see where the big strikes are.
Yeah, that'd be great because they're calling it the quadruple witching because you're having contracts or positions that are being closed out and expiring that were opened up last year.
So quadruple witching means that options on stocks, index futures, commodity futures, and commodity options all expire on this one day. And a lot of portfolio managers use quarterly contracts, March, June, September, and December for portfolio management. So yeah, you're right. This becomes a really big event. And what we should be cognizant of is most of the business will be done by that Thursday. And then Friday, because of all the expiry and all that shit, you probably should see Friday be relatively quiet. But you're right. This is a big event coming up here in the market.
Yeah, so lots of things are going on there. And I think what I'm looking for in this market, as far as kind of a plan going forward, or just at least what I'm watching, is that I think we're going to see stocks kind of rally a bit the next couple days into that event. And I'm not sure if it's going to be before Friday or after Friday, but I am expecting sort of this other pullback to come in where you get this second leg down. I think that, this past Friday was that first tremor. And then if I were trading this like I were cryptocurrency, my setup would come in and fire on a retest of these neckline areas here because we've got divergence, we've got structure, come back up into a reload zone here, and then I think I can fire off a short again. You've got the same setup here on the Russell, the same similar setup on the Dow, and then on the S&P as well. So all three of these markets, and granted the SPY isn't, or the ES1 futures aren't as clean cut, but if you look at NASDAQ, same thing. This actually looks really much more bullish than the rest of the markets here. NASDAQ's got that empire coming in. But I am looking to short these markets again going into this Friday. So you said going into the expiration, you think everything should calm down on Friday.
Right. Because most of the business is done that Thursday. And look at these numbers, guys. 270 strike, 106,000 contracts. Wow. Can you pull up your SPY chart?
Yeah, sure.
And let's just, so it's at 277 right now. And notice it was getting down there like 272. And somebody said, there's no freaking way we're going to let this market go out at those levels. So 270's got 106,000 contracts. 265's got 91,000 contracts. Let's see, any other bigger numbers up here? Not really. That's interesting. So I think, we might see some back and forth here through the week, but absolutely without a shadow of a doubt, there's, 275's got 87,000 contracts. So where's 275 on your chart? It's probably, you know what? Why you should probably just put a little line on 275. I don't say there's no way in hell they're going to let that thing go out below 275. Once we get above that, then the open interest really dries out. But 275, 87,000 contracts, I think they have a major vested interest to keep the market above there. 33,000 at 278. That's basically where we are right now. So if that fractal fires, then basically that's probably a level that they're going to defend into Friday. And then once we get above 278, got a little trickling at 280, 27,000 contracts. Oh, wow. Oh, hello. 285's got 51,000 contracts. So I could actually see them break this market out up into the top there. And 290's got 44,000 contracts. And then the open interest just disappears. It goes down to zeros. So I think it's probably, I wouldn't even be surprised, Thomas, throw on your chart that 290 level. I wouldn't be surprised if we were up in that area by Thursday, Friday.
That would just be crazy. And, the one commentary that I've been hearing from a lot of traders and commentators and, professional investment guys is that they were shocked that the S&P gave such a clear-cut short signal. Like, this was the third time that we bumped against this 280 level and came off. And everyone's like, no, it can't be that obvious. Actually, it was the fourth time. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 times here. Everyone's like, no, it can't be that easy to fire off a short. Wouldn't it just make sense that everyone who got caught short here, they didn't quite get to their 38.2 or profit level objectives, and they just end up popping the top, rallying this thing to new highs, get everyone trapped long, and then they go, okay, options expiration Friday, everyone made money, okay, now we can dump the market, see you later. That would be really crazy, but as you say, right, can't write better fiction than reality. So 290, huh? You still muted over there?
Sorry about that. Yeah. So the 290s, there's 44, and 285s are 51. That might be a spread trade, but clearly off of my screen, 275 I think is the major mark. They do not want this market to go below. But, as a betting man, I would not be surprised one bit if we see this stock market up 285, 290 heading into Thursday, Friday there. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
That would be crazy.
So, just be warned. And I agree with you. That top just seemed a little too easy.
Yeah, same thing here on the Dow. Interesting stuff.
Okay, so while we're there, I don't know whether we have time or not, but let's throw on the diamonds options and let's see what's up there. And you know what I also noticed too is they are listing options that expire on Mondays now.
Really? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I was noticed on those SPYs. It doesn't look like it's on this Dow contract, maybe because the spiders is just so big. But let's see, on the Dow, if you want to note this down, DIAs, these expire on the 15th, the heaviest open interest. And wow, the open interest difference is startling, eh? So clearly the institutional players are playing the SPYs. But the biggest open interest here appears to be 255. I don't know whether you got your SPY or diamonds. Oh, look at that. We're sitting right at 255. All right, what a coincidence, eh? Big interest at 250. That would be 25,000. So they definitely want to keep it above there. And 249 too as well. So it looks to me on first blush, the open interest on the puts just collapses once we get beyond about 260 or so, let's say 265 up in that area. So that makes sense too. If they pop the S&Ps, pop that top, get it up above that 260, 265 area, then of course options boys hit another monster home run. So, wow. But I really think that the SPY and probably, just for argument's sake, let's pull up the NASDAQ. QQQs, I apologize if this is taking too much time, everybody, but it's probably good information to have. The QQQs, big open interest, the heaviest open interest on the puts. appears to be, wow, some heavy open interest here. 175 on the QQQs, 33,000, 174, 22,000. But the huge levels, wow. 170s, 85,000 contracts. Remember, we talked about this on Friday. That's, gee whiz, that number sounds awfully familiar. And then the 165s, 81,000 contracts. So it looks to me like they hit a big home run. And wow, that's interesting. Up at 180, there's actually 22,000 contracts sitting there. Then once we get above that, then basically the open interest just collapses. There's just zeros. So maybe if they pop the S&Ps up top there, and I noticed some of these tech stocks are just flying. Be really interesting to check out because I saw Apple finally broke through that 38.2 level. Be really interesting to see what the Apple open interest is. So just bear with me here, folks. One more. Apple right now sitting 178.67 up. Oh, just a nice polite $5.77 a fucking share. Give me a break. What happened to Apple was going out of business and all that kind of talk. Anyway, on the open interest, geez, here it is again. These numbers are startling. So 24,000 at 175. If they can get the market above there, monster home run. Where are we right now? 178.58, bastards. So you can see that if they can get this market to finish out Friday, 175, 170s, 165, 160s. That's where the heaviest open interest is. Really, it's at that 170 level, but they hit a monster home run if they can get this thing above 175 into Friday. So, boy, that was a mouthful. Sorry. I was just running through the numbers there, Sasha. By all means, if you want the specific levels, you can pull up this CBOE open interest. But Thomas is feverishly trying to mark all the levels I'm barking out here on his charts. All right, I'll finish my rant. Please continue, sir. But it's quite remarkable to watch the market manipulation around these options expiry. It's remarkable.
It is, and I think it's really interesting because from a personal anecdote, seeing the puts and how expensive they've been and how difficult they've been to get into, it almost makes sense that just from the SOF formula itself prevents you from getting into trouble, that it was kind of warning you, hey, you really shouldn't be taking these positions. And maybe this is the reason why that
TRI for the fucking win. Please learn this shit, people. That's the whole damn reason why I built this site. This information is incredibly valuable. Get all emotional here because this is my life's work here, guys, and this shit works.
It does. I would have had my balls handed to me if I ended up taking some of these positions at this point, but I was priced out just from Brian's basic principles, and it's freaking awesome. But to put it all together and see the whole picture, it's like, oh wow, that's why I wasn't able to get into these things. It was almost like they were setting this thing up that anyone who did want to, put their balls on the line here, that it was a little too early, and you're going to, unfortunately, if they do end up going after most of these levels, and Wall Street does want to make a lot of money, most of those positions are in jeopardy here, and you'd be losing a lot of money. And especially taking positions that were 2 to 3 times what you would normally pay for them using the SOF formula. So that's
a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. We'll see.
Where's Admiral Akbar?
Yeah.
We haven't played him in a while, eh? I don't know whether you can see my screen. Learn it, live it, love it. It happens all the damn time in the market. It's just ridiculous. It's a trap. All right, continue, sir. Brian.
Yeah, it's incredible. So dollar, what's the dollar doing here if you're playing, currencies or commodities? Dollar looks like it's just consolidating. I don't think this is dangerous by any means. The dollar flew off of its levels here. Hit 97.5, and it's just retesting this area at this point. I don't by any means see the dollar crapping out and even going into a bear market. It almost looked like it did for a time. We had this bearish Gartley on the table. And I don't know if this is the harmonic objective of that, but I'm not a harmonic expert like
Well, so
Steven
that's
is.
the thing, right? Is you'd have to take. Can you zoom out on your chart, please? Right. So if you, yeah, I think the harmonic boys, they have a strict rule that at 38.2, they got to take partial profits. So it looks like 38.2 on your screen is 96.21. I don't know whether it would make a lot of sense to me that Scott Carney and the boys were taking partial profits on that short, stop to scratch, and they got blown out at the rest of the position at scratch.
Okay.
And remember, people, and I don't really like new people to trade harmonics because this is extremely tricky stuff. But they have a strict rule that 38.2, you got to take partial profits, stop to scratch on remaining, and where it goes from there is where it goes. So really good lesson here, everyone. If you are, level 3 and you're ready to trade harmonic patterns. Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. Colleen points out that, that is technically a W in there. So this is where harmonic trading gets a little tricky. So, yeah.
So from the dollar breaking out and consolidating a bit, you'd expect gold to be a bit stronger as the dollar's coming down through inverse relationships. But interestingly, dollar down, gold down today. Gold's off about, I don't know, call it $7, about saying $6. So we'll call it that, $6. And I mean, I still think if the dollar is going to continue moving higher, that gold is not going to be able to catch a bid here. I think that gold's very much in trouble, that the risk on scenario throughout the marketplace is fading, despite the fact that something came out of China I think maybe I covered that on Friday, but there were some issues with China and their weakness. But interestingly, their stock market's catching a bid today too. So I don't know. I think the market's trying to figure out what's going on into this Ides of March situation and the whole options expiration. I think the whole world's kind of intertwined into our marketplace here, and all is kind of put into perspective as far as how this quadruple witching expiration comes into play, and then we'll see which direction these markets want to take. But gold and silver.
China looks like gold and China charts looks familiar. Can you throw on just a quick fib off of that low back up to the high just to see if this? I think we're at 38.2 right now. No, just this recent range, like yesterday's low back up to that high.
Sure.
I think this rally is basically taking us right. Yep. Hello, Mr. Burchett. So, we have to wait for 38.2 to resolve. Now, who can tell me if China closes here and then we tick up through these highs tomorrow, what 2-bar pattern does this create? Anyone? Railroad tracks. Very good, Mr. 13 Friends. So, and that would be, of course, a resolution of Mr. 38.2. And it would be interesting to see, of course, if notice candle body highs up there just sitting right at about 78.6. Again, it'd be fascinating to see what the options open interest here is. But my hunch is there's probably a vested interest in sort of Wall Street getting this thing back above 13,000 there into the expiry.
Yeah, totally. So
I find it interesting how that gold chart actually, I guess gold's down on the day, so maybe they're operating differently. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I keep trying to find this correlation between China and gold or the yuan and gold, but it drifts. Like you see them line up for short moments, almost like planetary alignment. So maybe there's some type of planetary cyclical action going on here, but they don't align for that long of a period of time, and it'll switch back to dollar correlation inversely.
And I always think the gold and the yen move together. It'd be interesting to see if the yen's moving down on the day here.
Yeah, that's good.
Where is Mr. Yen? I've got a yen for some yen.
Looks like it's down, unless I have this backwards.
Yeah, it's down a little bit on the day. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for pulling up that so quickly. Oh, that's the Forex rate. Talking about like if you can go J6, excuse me, J6.
Sure.
I don't see it on my screen. I'm sort of a little bit.
I got you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So maybe this is an inside bar. If we finish today and then tick through those lows, I could see the gold chart looking kind of similar to that, whereas we might have an inside bar painting on the gold. And if that fires, then I think there's a lot of similarities between the gold market and the yen.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah. So let's see how these inside bars play out. And how's your silver doing?
Yeah, so my SLV position is coming back down right now. Yes, on Friday it popped up almost 40 cents on the SLV ETF. Let me bring this back to one pane so this is more visible. You want to see the silver spot or the SLV ETF? I mean, either way, you can see the SLV is down today. This is getting really messy.
Wow, and typical silver, right? Up and down like a horse drawers.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry for derailing you there, but I do like the correlation of the yen and gold. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, you always talk about that, and I never buy into it. But now that I just put those two charts side by side, the correlation was pretty obvious.
Mm.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
So
just before you move on, don't mean to derail you. I apologize. But Sjord, did you want to do a quick little site update? Today is Monday when we usually do the Sjord report.
I can do a very light and fun update.
Okay. Light and fun. Ooh, I like the sound of that. Okay. So Thomas, do you mind if we just take a couple minutes here and just get a quick report from Sjord?
yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And actually, maybe this is our segue into crypto. After he's done, we'll hop on over to crypto or something. All right, Sjord, you've got the floor. Is there a particular screen you'd like us to show? Do you want us to pull up the screener page?
Yeah, if you can pull up the screener page. And besides that, I just want to talk a bit. So what I did last week is I worked on our engine, and we now basically on my development environment, so not on the live environment yet, I imported all stocks that were trading on the Euronext, and I imported all USA stocks, which brings us total offers up to around 1,000 or 16,000 stocks again. This is a number.
I could review that list in 10 minutes, eh?
Yeah, so
that's a lot of stock.
That's a lot of stock. The main reason that I did that on the development environment was to see how our new engine is handling these bigger amount of data, but it's going very well. These.
So I'm getting readings here. Is this maybe still under construction?
Yeah, so this is still under construction, the dashboard. I worked on the dashboard this week. I added a small economic calendar, and I added a small daily brief widget and a fear and greed index widget for crypto. And this is just playing around a bit. But we did ramp up the developer now, so I have a bit of more help now. And we're planning to make this dashboard savable to all of you guys sooner than later. So this first was something on the backlog, but now because we have extra capacity, this is being developed together with the trades and balances pages that will be finished this week is expected. And then hopefully next week, or maybe the week after that, but I hope next week, you can all save your dashboard and create multiple dashboards and place your own widgets on it.
Oh man, you're getting me all excited. Jeez,
yeah,
I'm
and then
quite excited here today, eh?
And in the meantime, I just keep working away on the screeners and improving those screeners. We did do a small update on the screener notifications in Rocket Chat. Alex had a very nice suggestion. Thank you, Alex. And the change is that bullish signals now get a green color in front of the messages, and bearish signals get a red message or a red color in front of them. So this is just on Rocket Chat and not on the website. Another thing we did was we worked on the PayPal refund handling of messages in the backend. And yeah, that's basically it. But a lot is happening at the same time. So I'm hoping to bring this all together over this week and next week. So that's it for the site update. And personally, I was very happy today, and you guys probably already discussed it, but to see GLBS.
No, yeah, we were so excited about options expiry and stuff. We never even got to it.
Because GLBS, I woke up and it was at $10, and now it's back at $6.
Yeah.
And I believe you and I both had our double.
Yeah.
So that's just perfect. And just to make the bridge, and I really planned this, is I believe you had another double on crypto today. Maybe you should take a look at crypto with Thomas.
Oh, nice segue. Nice segue. Beautifully said, sir. And everybody should know Sjord is working like an absolute dog to get the site up and running. This is our developer cycle. He's just Sjord, Julian, the whole TRI team, everybody's working their asses off to try and bring value to you guys every single day of the week. Just please understand, from our perspective, we are trying really hard here to deliver, and I'm so proud of the hard work. Yeah, I see you there, Julian. So proud of the hard work everybody's putting in here. And I think, between the screeners, between our education program, between the dashboard and all of the fun tools that we're going to provide you, I think TRI is literally taking this to the next level. So I'm so proud of the hard work everybody's putting in. Just keep on keeping on, keep the faith. And Mr. Thomas, do we want to tick our way over to crypto now?
You're muted, Thomas.
I don't think Thomas realizes his microphone is muted.
Yeah,
and Alex is here. Mr. Mayor, you made it.
Hey guys, sorry. I got all messed up with the time, I guess.
No biggie, no biggie. Just great to hear your voice. Welcome. All right, Thomas, where do you want to take us next?
Let's do the newsy. Get that out of the way and jump into some chartsy wartsies. And so first item here is Crypto Mom in the news. This is SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce. She's coming out and saying that she thinks that crypto markets should continue to self-regulate themselves. So she was famous because she dissented over the SEC's second rejection over the Winklevoss ETF. And it's actually interesting because the London Exchange just launched a blockchain ETF that went live today. I don't have the ticker symbol for that, but if you are in England and you want to check
really? See, now this is the one thing that's going to get the Americans off their butts, is if the world starts eating their lunch. Then you're going to start to see like the S&P guys and all that go, hey, man, don't leave us behind. Get off your ass, politicians. Get this done. Sorry, Brian getting all excited again.
No, you keep getting excited. It gives me the chance to find what I didn't find in the first place. So this is the launching a blockchain. It's a United States-based investment management company called Invesco. They're launching a blockchain ETF on the London Stock Market Exchange today, which was reported on March 9th. This is called the Invesco Elwood Global Blockchain, targeting 48 companies involved with blockchain technology. Financial Times points out that blockchain is not synonymous with decentralized cryptocurrencies. Thank you very much. Citing the JP Morgan coin. Yeah, we understand the drama with that. So, I mean, do they even have I guess it's going to be, what's the ticker?
What I'm hearing is that's the companies involved. That's not the actual cryptocurrencies.
Right. No, it's only a blockchain-based company ETF. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So that's slightly different.
Right. No, very different. I don't know if I hope I didn't say cryptocurrency ETF. I thought I said blockchain ETF, but nonetheless, that's been clarified.
But the important thing here is these are companies that are in the blockchain space. These aren't the cryptocurrencies.
Yes. All right, so we talked about SEC, we went over that. This is interesting if you live in Texas, and by interesting, I mean horrible, which is that anyone in Texas, if this bill ends up going through, you will have to personally be identified before buying or selling cryptocurrencies in Texas. And especially if you want to be transacting through any companies there, you were going to have to go through this thing called the Verified Identity Digital Currency System. And that'll make sure that you are the true sender or receiver, but it's also probably a way for the state of Texas to track your cryptocurrency holdings. And I don't know, it doesn't surprise me that Texas is coming out and doing something like this. They've always bucked the trend when it comes to sticking out like a thumb here as far as rules and regulations from the rest of the US. I don't know if this is going to pass. This is still a proposed bill, but if it does go through, this just kind of sucks for anyone who wants to use cryptocurrency as a means to transacting anonymously. So if you're in Texas,
well, and I think that's the bottom line here is Big Brothers. They, through that last cycle, they were just kind of like, okay, let the kids play. But seeing how much money is in this space, there's no fucking way the tax man's going to let this keep going on, this whole anonymous stuff. And you guys have to realize this. This is sort of one of the downfalls of sort of mass adoption that everybody wants. Is you got to understand, Big Brother, there's no way Big Brother's going to let this anonymous shit keep going. And, in Canada, they're putting out these surveys. Do you do any sort of off-book transactions? Do you use any of these sort of cryptocurrency wash sort of services to hide your transactions? They're just not going to allow us to not pay taxes on capital gains here. Just get used to it, people.
Yeah, I find it funny. The comment down here is, this is what a load of crap. I don't have to show an ID to pay cash. Oh, well, that's that. Next thing, little altcoin news and Samsung Galaxy S10 news. We talked last week about that ENJ coin that took off. Well,
got two doubles.
Yeah, Brian kicked ass on that. Congratulations. It seems the native wallet that's being built into this phone's hardware is not going to support Bitcoin. You're going to have to seek out other ways of having a Bitcoin wallet on your phone. Natively, it's going to support this ENJ coin and as well as Cosme and I think Ethereum. And that kind of makes sense just because of the blockchain that these things are kind of built on. So I don't know if you're a Bitcoin, what do we call those? Bitcoin maximalists. This is probably not the phone for you. So if you hear Tone Vase talking about how much he hates Samsung S10, you know why. So that's your news today. Nothing really too groundbreaking.
I hear more and more people talking about how Bitcoin might get left behind here. It's fascinating to see how this develops.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we can jump into technicals and see what's going on with Bitcoin, but I mean, you called on Sunday, if I remember you saying before the show started, that you were talking about some levels that were pretty obvious, and it looks like they came in here. Do you want to talk about those?
Like to get eaten.
Yeah, so we're on a 4-hour chart here. Were you looking at?
It looks like a train wreck now, eh?
Yeah, the 4-hour looks really dangerous. You've got this bear div that's confirmed here, and you have a. I'm not going to do it. You have a market structure top. I was going to call out Colleen, but that's your job.
You know what you ought to do is take your little drawing tool and draw the happy face. Yeah. That's the easiest way to see M tops is if you ever see the market smiling at you, what is that getting ready to do? And it's an interesting commentary on technical analysis. Anyway.
So there's your top. If you are a short sell, you want to go short, you want to do something crazy in this market to capture some of the price swing to the downside. Again, almost same setup that I was talking about on the stock market. This is my bread and butter. Market structure top, divergence. I'm going to enter a short on the tag of this neckline here. And wow, look at the 200 period moving average sitting right at the right at this nice little gap here in volume profile, corresponding nicely to 200 period moving average into a reload zone. I think we need to come down in here. And then decide what to do with ourselves here in crypto, or at least in Bitcoin.
And on Saturday's show, like maybe even if you could throw on, I don't know whether you'll save this or not, but if you can throw like horizontal, like I would do a fib off of like today's low, back up to those highs. And my hunch is reload zone lines up nicely with those candle body closing levels. And so we ought to think about things like London kill zones, Tuesday, Wednesday, London kill zones. I could very easily see a nice little counter trend rally back up into that sort of 3,800. Do you think we'll get through your neckline there, or do you think it's going to stop at like a brick wall?
Well, it's interesting. It depends what exchange you use. So on OKCoin, I don't normally see it go much past the neckline. There are some examples where that will happen, but
well, that lines up nicely with those moving averages in the 38.2 there, right?
And the POC.
Yeah. So, I could, in this case, I think we, probably maybe Tuesday, Wednesday kill zone, we rally up into raise level there. Thomas is hitting that M, which I think, logically that makes sense. If it can accept above that 38.2, then I could see a nice little rally up against those candle body highs right at that 39.06 area on his chart. But I actually, the more I look at this, the more I'm thinking that your neckline trade level 38.2, two moving averages that just crossed bearishly, the POC, gee whiz, that's gonna be one hell of a brick wall there.
Yeah, it's a juicy level, no doubt. I really like that. But I think this is going to rally up into. I mean, this is a 4-hour chart. So if you imagine this thing closes in 3 hours from now, so that's 4 o'clock New York, that means you've got another 2 to 3 candles before Asian kill zone comes on. So that's 2 candles before Asian kill zone. And then that'll be another 2 candles from there to the New York kill zone. So I think this will happen in the next, call it 3 to 4 candles. If we can't get past 38.2, by the time that London kill zone, did I say New York? I meant London kill zone. So that's 3 to 4 candles before London kill zone. I think this sets up that short for the week. And
that's their Tuesday event, eh? And then
right, so that
Brexit vote. So what I think could happen is that Bitcoin will catch a bid into that Brexit vote event under uncertainty, what's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. My hunch is they probably it's another kick the can down the road event. Nothing really plays out of it. And that probably is your window for this thing to top out after whatever counter trend rally ensues here. And she rolls over. So yeah. It'd be really interesting to see what the time of that Brexit vote is. It said tentative on your schedule, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it really depends on how many scones they're planning on eating and how many pots of tea they need to finish before the vote.
Where's Jamie? Jamie, are you here? Jamie, I thought it was so funny. Some guy tweeted out, there's this crazy ass event that goes on in UK where there's like some sort of ball or something that's passed around and you have to try and hold on to it, and people like literally punch you and kick you to try and get the ball from you. Did you see that tweet put out over the weekend? And Jamie responded like, well, that's just normal for UK. I gotta find that tweet. It was just hilarious. But anyway, yeah, so unfortunately price looking a little heavy here now, eh?
Yeah, so I mean that's your Bitcoin levels. I don't see anything to say that to the contrary here on the hourly chart. The only thing that might prevent us from going much lower than Mountain Man is just eat this tail situation here. Maybe that just needs some attention, but I don't know. I think if we fail through that, that's a pretty significant fail. And then what's the daily look like? Will that push us much lower? I don't see any bear divs. I don't see any true reasons for why we would break below this 3,700 level. Just from a daily perspective, I think this is still okay. And it almost makes sense that we need to come a little further and just retest this area here on the daily. So that looks like a pretty key level, this 3,750 on OKX. I don't know what do the Finex levels look like. Are those similar prices? Finex right now is $119 higher than OKX. So Finex levels are going to be just a little bit different. Just draw your levels, look at where we need to come down to. Here's that same area of traffic that I was looking at on OKX that I think prices.
what's interesting is I got the Phoenix chart, and this is sort of what I did the broiler chicken show kind of levels yesterday. I found I don't know whether we've gone beyond bot levels here on Phoenix, but I did find it fascinating. This is sort of what I was talking about yesterday in the video. Candle body lows for trade location. Notice how they brought right into the New York kill zone here. They basically brought the market right down to those candle body levels and then reversed it. So, you know, if this is still a bullish bot, then we should see the market try and set up off of this 25 level. All right. I was thinking that we'd actually rally up, and you know, this is so typical, right, Brian? I don't know whether I'm showing the right screen or not.
You're good.
But Brian would be like long off of his bot level, and good old mountain man, Brandon, he would be sitting there short off of his level, and Brian would move his stop to scratch right there. But I could sort of see this kind of scenario develop again. And that's sort of what I was thinking was, you know, into that Brexit event. And you never know. I mean, maybe the event turns into a total train wreck. Who knows? You know, I don't know whether they're going to be able to hold these lows. Looking at your OK coin chart, that looks very dubious. But, you know, off of Phoenix here, you can see how they're trying to bottom the market here. Can you guys see that? So they painted the railroad tracks. And as we sort of said off of, and I can't remember what it was we were looking at earlier, but you can see where the railroad tracks levels are. They're just sort of playing in this range right now. And there's those candle body lows that I was talking about just a moment ago. Look at that goddamn trade location level, eh? I mean, seriously, learn this stuff, guys. It's incredibly powerful information. It is interesting, you know, we call this like a tweezers bottom. And it's interesting how they brought the market right back down against these candle body lows. So clearly there's some serious buying interest around this level. Now, if the market just pukes out and loses these lows, then I think we're toast. But, you know, if we're just watching this, let's keep an eye. You know, there is reload zone. But as we sort of talked about with Thomas, you know, there is 38.2 just above the railroad track levels, and gee whiz, what a coincidence, 38.2 is also just basically right at that bot entry level. So I think there's going to be a war here, right? And you know, Mr. Burchett would simply say, look, wait for this level to be resolved before making big decisions. We might blast off through the highs, and if we have 3 higher lows to work with, you can see the bot. Or conversely, we might just M out here and crap out and trend continuation. So that's sort of what I'm seeing here. This is off of Phoenix, and of course they march to a slightly different drum beat than OK Coin. But it is interesting to hear that Thomas is going to get super serious about like shorting this M top here. I don't know whether those levels line up with Phoenix levels. But fascinating how this is all developing off that 38.2 and that bot level. Really, really powerful stuff. So I think it's a little bit early for us to declare who's going to win this war. If anything, I think it's probably best, you know, if we lose these lows, then I think, you know, we're probably going to explore this tail in earnest. But I think there's got to be a war here. That's sort of what I'm thinking. And I do like the idea that as we head into that Brexit vote event, I've noticed that whenever we come into these big macro event windows, that Bitcoin usually catches a bid. And then once that event window is passed, then we see Bitcoin do its thing. So there's hopefully that helps add to the conversation. Crypto Odyssey says, will that pull down the alt as well, BB? Frankly speaking, I don't know. Generally speaking, when Bitcoin does go in the shitter, we see that basically they all seem to move in lockstep. So, you know, there's a screen on here somewhere of all my different, I'm watching sort of the 4 majors, if I can find it. You know, this is interesting too, in that, again, looking at Phoenix, looking at a little bigger picture, notice how this bearish AB equals CD also happens to line up with today's lows really well too. So, you know, as you can see off of here, we've got one high. This will now be two highs. Mr. Bear is thinking about hitting that. I do like the idea into that Brexit event vote. We get our third high. Mr. Bear gets short. He gets his nice fill. And then, of course, if this thing goes through 39.17 there, then this bigger monster bot fires, suggesting we're heading down to 3,500. And Mr. Bear, of course, will be buying drinks for everybody if that plays out as anticipated.
Whoa, who's nominating me for that?
Well, you'd be sitting on a – if you got short off of your neckline here and it tanks down to 3,500, I absolutely guarantee you're going to be on fucking cloud nine.
I'm the man!
Yeah, here we go. So anyway, so there's two different scenarios for you. If we can bottom in here and start painting higher lows, then we can maybe have bullish bot continuations. And keep in mind on the profile, there's a hell of a lot of open air up here. But if we rally up and then fail and lose these lows, then bearish setups start firing, and we got to start thinking about some serious dumpage here. So we're at a really important sort of, what's the word I'm thinking about? Juncture. Really important apex here on the Bitcoin price. Something big is brewing here, I think. Now, I wanted to show you, but I don't know, I might have lost the chart. But I wanted to show you the three names that I'm following, or four, I guess. Yeah, here they are. You know, the darling of the market has been, of course, Litecoin. And we have to be cognizant of what the heck's going on with Litecoin. And, you know, the simple message that I would have to our audience is, gee whiz, this market sure has come an awful long way. And if we just do things like 50% rules, you can see that 50% of this entire range is still down here at 52 bucks. So sitting at 56, we just broke through those tail lows. Well, that's not so good. But could we get a nice counter trend rally back up into sort of shorting levels? I don't know whether Mr. Bear would see an M here and a neckline to short, but, you know, that does make sense to me. Until we start painting higher lows and higher highs, 3 higher lows, 3 higher highs, yada, yada, yada. You know, yes, there is this potential bullish bot on the table, but that's still a mile away and maybe even a few miles. So, you know, it's interesting to see on Litecoin, we couldn't hold that tail low. And there appears to be a bit of selling pressure coming out of what we consider sort of our leader of late. But it is also interesting, too, here to note that I don't know whether you guys can see this, but do you notice how there's a cheeky little gap right up at this level here? And my hunch, again, sort of thinking Brexit vote, thinking sort of, you know, crypto catches a bid into that event. And then once the event passes, I'm seeing a little tell right here that the market probably needs to come back up and fill that gap in. And then if it's going to dump, it'll dump. If we look at things like Ethereum's holding its tail, so that's good. But, you know, if we start thinking about Mr. Bear and his candle body levels, necklines, right, you can clearly see there's a big honking M up here. So that was actually the actual fail on Friday was a big failure on Ethereum. And you also hopefully noticed, too, the counter trend rally, it got back up into the top. And remember we said, I said earlier, candle body highs for trade location. I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. And then, you know, on that event, here comes a new M, and now we're cascading our way lower. So same sort of thing as, and I suppose we could even draw like reload zones off of this range. And what do you think the odds are that was up in a reload zone? I bet you pretty good. Oh, look at that. It was actually basically right at 78.6 there. So, you know, this thing's still looking very, very heavy. And, you know, it's encouraging to see the cute little bottom that's trying to form here in the tail. But this thing is far away from being bullish. This thing is still looking very, very heavy in my eyes. So I don't know whether that helps or not. Thomas, is there anything you wanted to add to this conversation here?
I mean, I do like the topping patterns that are coming in across most of these names. The one thing that I'm paying special attention to are these longs versus shorts. We saw the Litecoin shorts pick up as price was moving higher. So I'm wondering if this is going, again, this is a daily chart, so this movement is going to be on a daily basis. I'm wondering if these shorts top out here, and as we go down, the shorts kind of clean themselves up, and then that gives us room to move higher. If the shorts do end up piling in higher or in larger volume, I could see some more problems here with continued support to the downside and just kind of like wonky action, really. But that's what I'm paying attention to. And then if you look at Ethereum longs and shorts, it's sort of the same kind of action. I don't think, let me get this chart up before I make that comment. But yeah, so it's not quite as obvious as far as, you know, shorts piling in. I think that if Ethereum does start coming off, I wouldn't be surprised to see shorts coming in. But ironically enough, they should be coming in now as we're trying to top out, or they really should have come in earlier in last week. But no real signals from Ethereum. And that's not really surprising because we're seeing the Litecoin market perform better. And then, of course, same thing here. It's actually remarkably similar, these charts here. But again, I guess I'm not really paying attention to these the same way that someone like Alex or Christian might be. It'd be really great if those two were able to hook up, but they have some cool stuff brewing as far as using this.
Nasty inside bar failure there too on your Bitcoin chart, just today's price action, eh?
Yeah, that made a lower low than 2 days ago, right? Yeah.
Well, just yesterday, Sunday's action was an inside bar, and then today we lost yesterday's lows. So until we actually start seeing some sort of, fractally inside bar, bullish engulfing pattern, railroad tracks, something to actually paint bullish action here, I think Bitcoin people better put themselves on hold here. Just cool your jets, people.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about your your altcoin trades? Because I want to start getting tempted to pile into this market at the top again.
Oh no, don't do that. We've been pretty fortunate. Hopefully what you see out of TRI is just basically rinse and repeat. It's the same logic, just day in, day out. Nothing really changes here. So if we saw this, and this happened to be a funny little name, Gross Linkcoin. Actually, Sjord. Oh, we lost Sjord. So do we have any other Dutch in the call? I'd actually be curious because I thought this was German, and people are like, no, this is Dutch. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'd be curious to actually know what the translation to English is. But, hopefully, and Colleen, can you see how reload zones sort of kept you out of trouble if you just waited for this thing to come back down? And then, what was really cool about this was, we had that move down. Oh boy, what a mess. There was lots of sort of spiky action down in the air, and then we got this big sort of pop. And so I said, all right, well, I'm very interested in participating. So I'm going to draw a reload zone off of this range. And notice too, and this is, of course, great Joshua sort of material. But I looked at this candle and I said, oh, gee whiz, there's a gap down there. I really do like the idea of working bids down against the low end of the range here. I think this is even like a 4-hour chart. Developed, not a bad level down in these areas. I think can't remember the exact justification for trade off of this level, but on balance, I'm feeling pretty good about that buy there. You could have, been buyer anywhere along here. Also notice too, hopefully everybody can see that ultimately, the W actually developed and fired right off 78.6 there. So very almost cliche what we see happening here. But I got my, fill down against the low end of the range. Brian, he loves his stinky bids. And actually, I think maybe I was even bidding off of here. You know, in fact, actually, yesterday in the broiler chicken show, I kind of talked about this because these names are so illiquid. Sometimes you get these little FU moves that just dip against the lows, and then the thing violently spikes back. I think actually the reason why I bought this was because of this gap down in here. You can see my arrows where I was thinking about being a buyer. And just little old lady, you know, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Big pop. And really, you know, we should just look at this and go, and this is what I really need for sort of like the new people to trading to see is, you know, you have this higher highs and higher lows and stuff. Okay, so we're going to try and, you know, force ourselves to buy against the bottom ends of ranges. Well, what do you think? Is there any chance that maybe we might get another double off here? I think so. You know, the irony of it all, and I know this is just going to blow you guys away, but I actually think that this thing could probably work its way up into these areas. Call me crazy. But down the road, I could very easily see a move up into that area up there. So encouraging to see. I think it's really a good idea, guys, if you can, just to try and get yourself into a risk-free position as fast as possible. I don't know where the hell this damn thing's going to top, but who can tell me? If I buy down here and I sell half of the position on a double, what's my risk in the ownership of this asset going forward?
Nothing.
Okay. I mean, talk about a perfect position to be in. And that's, you know, and the thing is, guys, is it doesn't matter whether it's crypto or whether it's the stock market. What is my risk in owning this GLBS? I'm long a fucking Greek shipping company. Of all the things to be long in this world, a Greek shipping company. What's my risk in owning this asset going forward? Zero. You know, so it doesn't matter whether it's crypto or whether it's crazy ass Greek shipping companies or whether it's electric vehicle charging companies. Try and get yourself into a risk-free position as fast as possible, because our whole goal here is to try and keep as much hair on the top of our head as possible. And you can see this thing's still strong. I don't know where the hell this thing's going to top out. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some crazy ass pop here. And so just be aware, everybody, that you're probably going to see Brian posting more double trades, because my next double is going to be up in that area. And, you know, this is a great analogy. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. There's big old wicks up top here. So don't be shocked if you actually see I'm banging out another double here in the next day or two. So that was, I mean, talk about a nice treat to wake up to, eh? I mean, not only am I getting doubles off in crypto, and, you know, whoever asked this earlier, I think it was Crypto Odyssey. Do you think Crypto Odyssey, this coin gives a rat's ass what the fuck's going on with Bitcoin right now? Do you think it cares? You know, so this is a great analogy that, you know, if you want to just be entirely your cryptocurrency versus fiat and, you know, trade it versus fiat, that's not a bad idea. And you will still find stories rally, even though things like Bitcoin and Ethereum are coming off. So, you know, that's, and another interesting testament, Joshua just mentioned it, you know, just as I said in the video yesterday, I still fully believe that crypto is in sort of its cleaning up phase. That hasn't changed one bit for me, if I can just find the damn chart, right? Chop Vegas. Now, the interesting thing about Chop Vegas, you know, Litecoin, it did almost like a 10x through its halving event while Bitcoin was going through its Chop Vegas. And what was really interesting was I first got involved in this space through 2014, 2015, and we had coins like Archcoin. I don't even know if any of you guys even remember Archcoin, if you were even around. But Archcoin did like 100x in the face of the Bitcoin winter. So there's still lots of money to be made. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you're valuing your portfolio in Bitcoins and Bitcoin falls out of bed here, then yeah, you're probably going to see your account, broadly speaking, go down. So I don't know whether that helps answer that question, Crypto Odyssey, but absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, is there money to be made in this market? Absolutely. All right, Mr. Bayer, is there anything else you would like to add to the equation?
Get in a risk-free position and you'll sleep like a baby.
Yeah, there you go. And try and keep as much hair on the top of your head as possible. And without going Mr. Powell. Have you guys noticed that Mr. Powell's been on the job? He started out gray and now he's basically white. And I don't know whether you guys noticed Janet Yellen's hair color. Holy moly. So I would prefer that you guys live as carefree a life as possible. And this whole idea of just creating risk-free positions as quickly as possible, it just can make life, living life and managing money that much easier. So, okay, we've gone well past the top of the hour. I think actually we had an action-packed episode. I think we got Brian excited about 2 or 3 times here today, so that's always good. Any closing thoughts, sir? I guess you gave your closing thought, but try and sell halves on doubles. Get yourself as a stress-free life as possible. Mr. Mayor, what do you think? Did we give these people some half-decent value today?
Sure.
All right. So we got the sure vote from Mr. Mayor. I guess, I don't know, is there anything else you wanted to add, Thomas, or are you done?
I think we should wish these people a fair adieu.
All right. A fond adieu. A Wiedersehen. Have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. Maybe set your alarm clocks on your computers for the next week or two. With the daylight savings times, things are going to be slightly wonky for you Europeans, but great to see you were able to make it here eventually. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. Try and play from a position of strength. PMA for the win. Remember, guys, we built this site for you. I'm not here to shill. I'm not here to try and grind you. I'm here to try and make you better traders. So if there's any way we can help you in that regard, please reach out. We're here to help. Have yourselves a great day. All the best. And the only thing left for good old Uncle Brian to say is a big bye for now.